Oh, hello. It's me. It's been a while since I've uploaded to this channel. I've been pretty busy with school and stuff, and I haven't really had time. I have a bunch of stuff I wanted to upload, but yeah, I never got around to doing it. And then this game came out when I finally got time, and I've had it for, oh, I don't know. Let me check. I've had it for a little bit, and I've already got like 106 hours in it. And a lot of people are starting to play this game now, on YouTube and stuff like that. But a lot more people are starting to pick it up. And I want to, while I'm talking to you here, I'm gonna just go through and make sure my options are set right. Oh, that's not good. There we go. There we go. Put those feuds on. I want to go through this game. I beat this game pretty regularly, and I've beaten it on the hardest difficulty, a couple of times here. But I want to go through this again now that another update has come out, and I want to record it a little bit. What we're going to do here is we're going to go to the 1861 start date. It's going to be completely historical. Right, but apparently now you can actually, the scenarios don't just end when the end of the year rolls around like they used to. And I think it hasn't been like that for a while. But it's gotten to the point where this game, I have beaten it before that ever needs to happen. So in an effort to try and play like a full experience here, before I think the maximum bonus was 15, right? Okay. Then what we have is we can go up to 50 as a maximum bonus. And that's something I want to try. I want to see if I can do this. And you'll notice I'm not starting in the summer of 61, which historically is when the fighting really started. That's because on this difficulty with a bonus of 50, your preparations with the economy here, even though I haven't really quite figured it out, are kind of key to the success of, your whole run. And there's a couple of ways you can build internally or build externally, that kind of thing. I'll show you that when we get in the game. But yeah, I'm going to start this up, and then I'll get back to you when the loading screen and then long, like 30-minute documentary ends. Okay, so... Ooh, that music is really loud. Hold on a minute here. That is a lot louder than I remember it. There we go. Let's lower a little bit of this and this. Here we go. But yeah, so this is the Grand Tactician, excuse me. I've been involved in something called the Grand Campaign as well. Let me tell you, that is something fun if you have war rights. If you do have war rights and you're looking to get into something, it's a little bit like this, just on a smaller and more personal scale. Let me know. But anyways, so here we are in Grand Tactician. We don't need that. So yeah, America is divided. If we look at the front lines, we have our country. Most of our country, apparently everything below Lake Okeechobee here doesn't exist. That's okay. I, for one, I'm not actually sure if Florida actually exists now in the modern day. Additional policies? No. I don't need them at the start here. Later on, I will. But the first thing we're going to get here is Diplomacy 1. And the reason we're going to get this is because I need to start importing Enfield rifles as soon as I possibly can. And that is imperative to the early success of your army in this game, is being able to go toe-to-toe with the rifled Springfield muskets. But yeah, the other thing here, right, is we're actually not going to keep the South Carolina State Militia around. And the reason for it is because you are given Fort Sumter regardless by event. If you choose to not start the war on your own, on the historical mode, it gives it to you regardless. So with that, goodbye South Carolina Militia, they're just going to surrender on their own is how we'll roleplay that one, right? The other thing we're going to do here is Fort Pickens can be a son of a bitch to take. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to our own states, and we're going to look at Florida. Florida is not willing to put anybody in. That's okay. So we will probably go over here to Alabama then, because they're close. and we will probably have just 560-ish men here. We don't need a lot. We don't want to upgrade them either, because they don't. The whole purpose of this is simply to siege out that fort. One thing I am glad about is that the forts now don't just wipe out entire. If it's like 60 dudes in there, they don't turn into Hercules when you besiege them. Now you can actually just sit back and starve them out. You know, your AI doesn't just manually assault, which I think is pretty good. Because considering beforehand you would literally just, you know, get wiped out if you tried something. So we're going to get a full RD battery here. Oh, some black pants. That sounds good. The other thing is, well, I'll be kind of starting the war today and getting a couple battles out. If anyone, when I start forming the armies, wants units and stuff like that, let me know. There's already a couple I'm going to put in that have some special, you know, stuff with me. But, you know, that's another thing. And then we're going to get one more unit here if we can fit it in from Alabama. Or maybe we go somewhere else. Maybe we go Georgia. Let's see if we can't get... Georgia's already ready to field a whole unit on its own, which is pretty nice. Yeah, so we'll hold them there. So now we're good. Let's just check over the finances once more. So this first episode is probably going to be a lot of setup, and I'm going to kind of do this in an update fashion so that you don't really have to see everything, right? All the boring stuff. But again, I'm also going to set everything here to none until I am ready to, right? Because again, the early stage of this war, the goal here is going to be to save money. And I think that's about it. I think we're good. We'll look at our strategy, right? Obviously, the war isn't started yet. So now what we'll do is we'll just go 20 times speed and we'll wait. We'll look at, you know, this and ponder the existence of if Florida does in fact actually exist. There's Jefferson Davis. He's around. Okay, just a quick update. We are getting closer to the war. It is March 1st. And, you know, the Fort Sumter situation is deteriorating. I believe it's... I can't think of the name of the guy. Is it Anderson? Anderson by now has withdrawn from the fort he had initially actually chosen to stay in and is now fully in Fort Sumter. Oh, and look at this. Here's another update. Texas has just joined the Confederacy. But yeah, so the Sumter situation, that's the thing, right? What I forgot to mention here was with the policies, now you only have... It used to be where you could initiate the war on ahistorical, right? As soon as you fired this off. But that's changed. Now that's not the case. Now you can... The war happens no matter what on historical. So you have a very limited... I think you can get maybe 2 focuses done or policies done before this happens. And the ones we will be taking will be diplomacy... And I'm going to do it in this order. Is diplomacy, government funding, and then Militia Act. The Militia Act is something I can fire off almost right away, so there's no worries there. But then I'm going to be doing the military, because organizing at the corps level will kind of be important as this game progresses, I would imagine. Oh, it is. Got some bad weather over on the Florida State Militia. But yeah, that's the only update for now. I'll see you in a little bit. Alright, so just an update. Diplomacy 1 has been selected. Now we are slowly importing Enfields and the like. The other thing we're going to look at getting here is government funding 1 or military 1. I know initially I said I was definitely going to do that. But recruitment will be key early on. And we still need to do the Militia Act before the war starts on, I believe, April 12th is when the war starts. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's April 7th or April 12th. So we have a very limited amount of time. I could also do this one, which gives us Enfield Musketoons. But I don't think I'll do that one. So I think what we'll end up doing here, right, is we're going to go down... I think government funding we can hold on. We'll start on military, right, and that'll be about 25 days. And then basically we'll get the Militia Act shortly after Sumter. So let me explain this real quick while we wait. The bonus does 2 things, really. The first is that it buffs national morale for them. So they will take a 50% debuff. So normally, if you hit their national morale, if they were to lose 4%, right, because of a battle, they'll lose half of that. They'll lose two points instead of 4. And me, on the other hand, right, if they beat me, let's say they gain morale, right? Instead of just losing, instead of gaining like 2 or 4 or 5, they could gain 4, 8, or 10. So it can drag the war out if I'm not careful, which I'm not sure is something I want to do. Because I think dragging the war out might not be in my best interests. But at the same time, when the AI is buffed like that, right, even on plus 15, you don't really have the power to go on an offensive until you really rebuff their armies. Okay, just a quick update. The Union has selected Military 1 right off the bat. So now, while it is historical policies that are selected off start, right, the Union will take policies based on its war needs, by the way. That is never fully historical, to my understanding. And from what I've read and listened to, really, on YouTube videos. So that is interesting, is they are going for Military 1, which is also something I am doing, as you can see here. We have about 18 days left on this, though. So they are probably working on two at once or 3 at once plus the Militia Act. That is a valid strategy. I think it's actually better to min-max it, do 2 off the bat, and then immediately go into the Militia Act. But I'm doing it this way because I do not want to wait on getting Enfields. Actually, if I show you, if I were to come down to the Florida State Militia, right, I should have enough Enfields and Lorenzes to already outfit, a unit or 2. And we're talking, 3,000 men, yeah. So I do. I have a lot of Enfields. Well, not really, but you know what I mean? I have a selection that I can arm my, cracked troops with weapons that are relatively decent. And, ideally before the war really kicks off, I'd like to have maybe 2 or 3 units outfitted with Enfields. Or Lorenzes. I mean, once the war starts, because I am foregoing a navy in the interests of monetary benefits, right? It is going to be very difficult for my blockade runners. That's the thing, is I do not have the ability to do blockade running yet. But when I do, I will be putting in a decent amount. So if you can see, we are literally fully buying as much guns as possible. We have put 170,000 K, and I'm even going to up it if I can get to 200K. Just really try to throttle in as many Enfields as I can into the Confederacy. And then obviously when the war starts, I will pull it back a little bit. All right, so here we are. Oh, I was right. It is April 11th, not April 7th. So I picked one of them. One of them was right. But here we have Johnson has opened fire, or sorry, Beauregard opens fire from Fort Johnson. Basically, they formed like a ring around the fort, using the other forts at each tip of the peninsula, and then the militia set up in Charleston Harbor and kind of just bombed the shit out of the place. But here we go. So Fort Sumter has surrendered. I think if I look away, it will become ours at some point here. Eventually, maybe, perhaps. I don't know. I guess not. Oh, nope, there it is. Okay. All right, sweet. So now we have military policy 1. I saw Fort Sumter just flipped. Let's pause this real quick while we check our military. Yeah, so Fort Sumter is now ours. Charleston is secure. The next thing we're going to take is the Militia Act. That'll take about 10 days. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go down government funding and try to get... I'd like to go down to the Revenue Act, but off start, government funding 1 will be enough. Yeah. The Tariff Act isn't a good idea, and printing notes is not how you help your economy. But yeah, so this is probably going to be the start of the war here. There's probably going to be a cutscene that I'll cut out because it's going to take 30 minutes. They're good, by the way. You should watch them if you get the game. But I just don't want to watch them or broadcast them to you because it's 30 minutes of just that at a shittier quality than if you were to watch it when you own the game. So, okay, I'm back again. That was quick. So this is kind of phase 2 of our planning episode. Like I said, I'm going to lump all of this into the first episode. So you'll probably be able to skip this whole thing if you don't care, right? But this is phase 2 of our planning. And what we're going to be doing here, right, is we're going to have to look at our expanded economy and all that. So now this is going to change. Yeah, there we go. Just like that. We have some incursions up in the north and south. So there we go. This is what the borders look like at the moment. So we do have some reorganization that I have to do. Specifically, so we do want Florida State Militia. This is the one thing I'm okay with, right? These are just random militia. They won't stay once this is done. But we do have some units that have spawned. If I refresh this, they'll probably pop. Yeah. Okay, so the first things first is we're going to be deleting these navies, right? There's no point. And all of the ships in the harbor as well. Abandon that. I wish there was a way to do it faster. But this is basically what you're going to be seeing me doing here. So I'm going to cut this. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, all of the navies are gone. So now we're going to need to reorganize the armies. You know, we haven't finished Military 1. That'll be done in 9 days, so that's not really a concern. If we look, we have an army down here in Nashville. This is the Army of Tennessee. Under Zollicoffer, he does not have a good time of it when he walks into Kentucky. Okay, stop. I went on a long tangent trying to make a joke about Zollicoffer and his experiences in Kentucky. Instead, what I'm going to do for you is let's do a little bit of a multiple choice question here. If you are one of Zollicoffer's staff members, and you are in the middle of a battle, and what ends up happening is you realize that your commanding officer is now speaking to a Union officer, and neither of them know they are the other side in the middle of this battle, and you need to warn him that he is literally talking to the enemy who is directly standing next to an entire regiment of Union soldiers. What would you do? A, calmly stride up to him and tell him as soon as you can that we need to leave in some fashion or the other. B, walk up to him and ask him to kind of step away from the situation. Or C, die. I'll give you a couple seconds. You know, no. Actually, I'll do you better. I'll give you a hint. It's die. It's die. Yeah. So the Missouri State Guard, I'm going to use them as basically a core force to secure the Missouri. I think I can make... what I'm going to try to do here is make Missouri secede very early. Now, there should be a Western Army down in Arkansas. Yeah, here it is. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to fold these guys in. And does anyone here have any good weaponry? No, these are all mixed muskets, which is fine. It's not a big deal, right? But so now we have some slightly better units and 2 really crappy units. We're going to fold this guy into this one, get Springfields, and send them over that way. And that'll be the Missouri State Guard. The first thing we're going to do here is we're going to push. I showed you that reorganization just because that's kind of how I'm setting things up. And his orders start are going to be to take St. Louis. If he can take St. Louis and force those guys out of Missouri, I'm pretty sure that will allow Missouri to secede. It hasn't popped up as an objective yet, but I'm assuming. The other thing here, we're going to be doing some reorganization of these 2 armies. I'm going to merge them together. I don't see the point in having all 3 of these armies separate. So let's start over here, right? First things first, we're going to separate, or put our infantry together, excuse me. We have 2 decently sized brigades, and then a weak one under Hampton, which is okay. That's not a big deal. And now we're going to go to the transfer screen, and we're going to literally just fold the Army of the Shenandoah directly in, and as an extra force. We've got this going, and then we have Stuart's cavalry under Semple, and that will free Johnston up to... We will eventually put Johnston in charge of this army. But that's what we're going to be doing with our reorganization of the Army of the Potomac. There is just one more unit here that's going to get folded in. Where is it? No, it's got to be out front. Here it is, Army of the Northwest. It's a pretty battered unit, and we're actually gonna do this. We're gonna put these two over here, right? And when they do come together, we will fold the Virginia Brigade into Hampton's Legion, who are armed with Mississippi rifles, which is interesting because Wade Hampton actually, for the Battle of Manassas, had given his men repeating carbines. At least to my understanding. Actually, yes, because I remember when I think it was a family member of his was killed by the Union, and in a rage he ordered his men to target with their carbines enemy officers. But yeah, so we've got some okay guns. I'm gonna see if I have got some 12-pounder howitzers here, so I'll be upgrading those. But yeah, so that's the new Army of the Potomac. If I can, I'd like to switch out. What's his command stats look like? He's not bad. What are yours? I mean, Beauregard though. I think we'll throw Beauregard. You know what? But Johnson is just better. But oh, see, he doesn't have a lot of initiative for some reason. But the administration is key. What is Robert at? You know what? Do we pull a oops and throw Robert in early? Let's throw Robert in early. Let's put Lee up and see how he does. Yeah, so that's most of the reorganization. Oh, right. The Hampton Division here. So this is interesting because they have to go and siege down. Also, yes, this is, by the way, if I ever cut for reorganization, it's because I always deploy my corps like this. I like to micro my units separately. I do not like having already attached to my brigades or my infantry or my cavalry. It's just not useful to me because then what I found in this game particularly is that the units will then end up just mashed into the front line with your infantry, and it's just not fun for anyone. But yeah, oh right. So these guys, by the way, are going to get 24-pounder howitzers because what I want to do is, historically for the Confederacy, Fort Monroe was a pain in the ass the entire war, and it constantly threatened Richmond. If I can remove that, I can fold Hampton's division into the Army of the Potomac. I think that's about everything right now. Yeah, then we just have to wait. So the other move we're going to make here, right? So again, I'll show you this, and then, I'll cut until there's a development. Is we're going to have Florida State Militia besiege Fort Pickens. The Missouri State Guard are going to try and push them out of St. Louis. And we really need to start thinking about our Western Army, or the Army of the Tennessee, who under Zollicoffer, who's going to push out into Upper Tennessee and kind of just wait until we get the Volunteer Act, which I believe is coming soon here. We've got a couple of days. We've got basically 10 days. That's it for me. I'll see you in a bit. Oh, just a quick update. The Army, basically the Union government in St. Louis and the unit there, right, that kind of protects the city has fled. So the Missouri State Guard is free to begin capturing the city. If we capture it, it should usher in the secession of the state. I do not know where that unit ran to, but they are no longer there. And the other thing is I just wanted to show you guys how fast the Union Army builds up. On plus 50, they already have 51,000 men in the field, and I am sitting with 14,000. And their Navy tonnage, obviously, right? It's like they are going to outnumber us pretty heavily here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have the Militia Act. We're going to pause. And now let's see what we got for volunteers. First things first is we need to secure this area, right? If I can build a strong enough army out here, he won't break me. About 20,000 men will be what we want for Lee. So to start, we're probably going to want own states. Oh, it's not come through yet. All right, so let's hold on. Let's go a little bit. Let's go to policies. And we can go to militia 2 right off the bat. But like I said, we need to get government funding, and then we'll go to Militia 2. What this does is it basically recruitment of volunteer units, and it actually will up the amount of troops that are showing up. And then we'll probably want Military 2. And we've got our recruitment right about where we want it to be. But yeah, that's really it for now. Now we just kind of wait and see. But I figure I would give you guys that update. Oh, so here's that army that's withdrawing. Yeah. They're withdrawing very slow. All we have to do is capture the city with Sterling Price, and it'll be good. And then, I mean, yeah. That's really it. Alright. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, editor me is going to hate me because it took me way longer than I needed to explain this. So this is going to be me trying to explain this as best I can. So, I have added quite a few brigades, right, to what is now the Army of Northern Virginia. I figure whatever, Lee's in charge, that's what I'm going to turn it into anyways as the war drags on. I've already added a couple units. Like I said, I do want, you know, if anybody wants, like, a brigade or something like that, right, I will give you a brigade. So to start, I've got Pickett's Brigade here, a very good regiment in War of Rights. Well, sorry, brigade in War of Rights, right? Which is the game we play. Then I've got Koch's Battery, which is probably one of the best artillery batteries I've ever seen in War of Rights. So got to have them on the field. And then we have the 14th Tennessee, which is my regiment. I've thrown them in. And then we're just recruiting some stuff here. So that's going to be basically enough for now for the Army of Northern Virginia. Now we have to go and really... This is where the struggle is going to come in. The Army of the Tennessee is nowhere near as long, as big as it should be. And we've got Tennessee State Militia here, so we're off to a good start. So we are at about 20,000 right now. That'll be enough for the start of this. But again, there is the Army of the Kentucky that's going to show up with about 17,000 at some point. And if you look, they have already fielded about 60,000 men. And that's just what's been recruited. Which is a bit of a yikes, but I think we'll be okay. Like I said, once we capture St. Louis, we'll get Missouri, and that'll be a lot more money. And now what we have to do is really just wait and see. I think this will probably be the end of the first episode here. Yeah. Again, this is a boring one. Like I said, it'll say plastered all over it. You should probably skip this if you're not interested in the setup phase of any of this. And yeah, that'll be it. So thanks for watching. Again, remember, if you want a brigade named, go ahead, let me know. I'll throw it down. See ya.